Hey guys, welcome to Training Tip Tuesday. Today we're talking about my dog knows this, he just isn't doing it. A situation we've all been in, right? So I'm Kelly and I am the owner at Happy Dog Acres and I'm a certified dog trainer. And I'm happy to be sharing Training Tip Tuesday with you today. So it can be so frustrating and not to mention sometimes embarrassing when you're asking your dog to do something and they're just ignoring you, not doing the cue, they're staring at you, and you feel like they know it. So maybe that's you want to show off your dog's new trick that you guys have been working really hard on and they're just not performing. Or your dog walks on a loose leash perfectly in the backyard, but then when you try and take them on a walk somewhere else, it's back to pulling and tugging. Or your dog has a perfect recall in training class, but then when you try and use it in the real world, they just aren't quite coming back for you. So it's very frustrating when we think a dog knows something, we've seen them do it, we've gotten good success, and then it seems like they're just not doing something they know how to do. So let's break it down a little bit and see, what does it really mean to know a cue for your dog? If they know the cue, they can perform it, regardless of the distraction level, the environment, other things going on. So if you find that you're asking them to do something that you think they know and they're just not doing it, there may be another underlying training that needs to happen first. Maybe they don't know the cue quite as well as you think. Now, of course, just like for you, it is possible for your dog to know something and to choose not to do it, but that's a topic for another day. So if you find yourself thinking, but my dog knows this, you're going to want to ask yourself a couple of questions that'll help you figure out, does he really know it? Or do we need to do a little more work? So first, you're going to ask yourself, has my dog learned the cue in this environment? And that's generalization. Generalization is a skill that allows learning to be used in varying environments, which is just a fancy way to say that once you know something, you know it everywhere. Dogs are not good at generalization, so you always want to consider the environment. If your dog has learned a recall in the backyard, it doesn't mean they have one in the front yard. They still have to be taught the cue there. Next, you're going to want to ask yourself, can my dog cope with the current level of distraction? Being able to cope with distraction is a learned skill. So you want to start with small distractions and then work with your dog, teaching them how to handle bigger distractions. Next question would be, have we done our homework on this skill? Training with your dog is fun, so make sure you've practiced their skills. You have to train, you have to build up their ability to do it. You have to work with them so that they know, and you're going to practice in different environments with appropriate distraction levels before you would really feel like they know the cue. The next thing you would want to ask yourself is, does my dog feel safe in this environment? So just like when you don't feel safe somewhere and it's really hard to concentrate, the same is true for your pup. If they don't feel safe, it's really hard for them to concentrate on what you're asking from them. So if you're asking for a behavior, you want to make sure that they're in an environment in which they feel comfortable and safe. And if they're not, just remove them. You don't have to keep asking them for something. You just leave that environment. So if the answer to any of these things is no, then your dog may not know the cue as well as you thought. So just a little side note here, there is some power in the language that you use. And positive language can make such a difference to how you feel about yourself and about your dog. So saying, he knows this one, can lead to frustration, and that's not any fun for you or your best friend. So when you notice that your dog isn't complying with your request, reframe your thoughts. Maybe you could try instead, training opportunity ahead, or I love you, buddy, and we get to work on this one. All right. So how do we make sure our dog does know what we're asking for? Training. You want to think of your training like math. You're not going to jump from addition right into calculus. So think of your well-known low distraction living room as an addition level environment. Think of the dog park as like a calculus 3 level environment. So even if you're really good at addition, that doesn't make you quite ready for that calculus 3 level exam. Shoot, even if you're good at algebra, you may not be ready for a Calc 3 exam. So you want to be training with your dog to make sure that they know the cue and that their skill level is appropriate to the environment, the distraction level, everything that's going on. So just like you would train to learn all of your multiplication tables so that you can go on and learn algebra, Your dog needs to train to be able to go on to more complicated environments. Training is a lifelong process that you guys get to enjoy together. So once you've trained a skill in an easy environment, train it all over in another one. To ensure that your dog does indeed know what you're asking for, keep training with them. So a process that you could go through to work on this with your dog is teach the skill in a familiar, low distraction environment, gradually add in some distractions, move to a new environment, and then teach the skill there. And then repeat this for different environments with different distraction levels. And always remember to work with the dog in front of you, as this may not be quite a linear process. Some days you may have to go back and review a little bit, and then some days you can bump them forward. So make sure that you are always working on training your dog in the appropriate level for them. And if you're asking them for something and they're not doing it, maybe it's because they really don't know the cue quite as well as we thought. So guys, I want you to share something here that you want to keep working on with your dog. Some skill that they're still learning that you want to bump their level up so that they can do it in more distracting environments, more interesting locations. I've enjoyed this Training Tip Tuesday with you guys, and I'll look forward to all your comments.